Hey, 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 hey. Come on. Hey. All right, here we go.
All right, yeah, here we go. We got it. All right, so we
adjust your post. We in there? Yeah, we there. Come on. Hey. Yeah. Yep. We here. We here, y'all. Are we live yet? Yeah, we live. Online? Yeah, we back.
good. All right, we back again.
Hey.
Get it done.
Yeah. Hey. Shout out to Go-Go Royalty, Andrew Gaston. I gotta get your subscription. Yeah. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. Okay, okay. Yeah.
That's funny.
Hey, we here live. All right. Yeah. Come on in.
Hey, look.
First person on his mama.
Hey, Mom, we got it this time. I'm watching you this time.
First person on his mama.
Me like you did last time.
Mom got you last time though.
You're not gonna
watch your mouth this time.
You're not gonna
watch your mouth.
You did last time.
Hey. Like you do last time. What's going on over there? Mama gonna get you.
I know, right? I'm about to get
Mama gonna get you.
Mama don't beat me, no.
All right, Natasha, I'll pass it. I'll pass it. Like I said, shout out to Go-Go Royalty. Get your subscription. $50 for the whole year. Stream all the Go-Go you want. All the Go-Go you like. Shout out to my main man, Andrew Gaston. One of my college homeboys. Go-Go Royalty. Okay. All right.
All right, Go-Go Royalty.
Yeah. Look at Dr. Renee. Dr. Renee, like, what the hell is going on with these shows?
I get myself into.
No, I just didn't know that you knew Go-Go.
Oh.
So that's what caught me off guard.
Yeah.
Oh, Jason locked up.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah. Hey. Jason locked up. He's gonna have to come back in.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right, so
look at the
thank you so much for joining us this evening. We have a powerful conversation going on this evening. Shout out to Go-Go Royalty on behalf of Andrew Gaston and the Go-Go Royalty crew. All the Go-Go you want from way back to 1985, which we listened to today, the Air Raid from 1981, goes way back. So shout out to them for being our sponsors for this evening. We're going to talk about some serious issues today. We're going to drink our little drinks. You know, I got the G glass. So we're going to drink our little drinks and do our little stanky stank. And we're going to talk about some real issues today, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about some real issues. You know, Black men have been going through a lot. We don't talk about it enough. Seriously, there's been a lot of things we've seen on TV, images, injustices that we face on a regular basis, and we really need an outlet to kind of discuss our issues, because if we don't address our issues by discussing, because it's healing and discussing, if we don't address our issues by discussing, I mean, we're going to go further and further down this slippery slope. So I brought Dr. Carr here. Dr. Carr is the problem solver.
Woo!
The problem solver. You got a problem, she's going to solve it. all you gotta do is talk about it. Tell her about it, and she's gonna solve it. So I'm really excited to have Dr. Carr here today.
Olivia Pope really in the flesh.
Say what?
Olivia Pope in the flesh.
There you go.
Yeah.
She's Olivia Pope in the flesh.
Dr. Olivia Pope.
I'm sorry.
Right. All about first. That's Dr. Renee. So
yes, ma'am.
That's Dr. Renee. So Dr. Renee, we're gonna pose some serious questions to you. I know I'm acting a little lit right now, and I am.
Okay.
I've been drinking since 5 o'clock. These jokers, you know, we just go.
AM or PM?
Where did Jason go? I lost him.
Jason's having a little
technical difficulties. Let's see if he can rejoin us
soon. Here you go.
Oh, here he comes.
Oh, he just changed positions. Look, you got a little tent and everything going on. What's up, man?
Man, he chilling on the deck on a rainy day.
Like Smith,
we had a power outage, but I'm about to get back off. I had to put it on my phone real quick.
Eyes as opposed to your profile. I mean, that'd be a little bit helpful.
What'd you say?
How many cameras you got around you?
I got 2. Oh. Look, I'm back online now, so I'm about to get back on my computer, bruh.
All right, get on your computer. Hurry up now, because
I'm going, sir.
It's
Yes,
already 8 minutes into the hour.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So, what I want to talk about is, damn, he left again, man. What the hell?
He had to leave. He had to switch over.
All right. So
give him a break this time.
I mean, that's why we did the testing, right?
I know, but he was late for that too. So,
yeah.
What do you know? Yes. It's gonna be that day for him.
Always the young ones, I'm telling
you. Yeah.
Always the young ones.
Yeah. But anyway, go with it. Go with it. We gone. Let's go.
Gotta wait till the main man comes back.
Let's go.
He's coming back. All right. So there've been a lot of issues that we've been dealing with for a long time. We've had to deal with societal issues, some interpersonal issues, some professional issues, and there's really no outlet for us men to rap a taste. You know what I mean? To let the world know, or let at least our friends know what we've been going through. We try so hard to shield ourselves from what we face because we're taught to be strong. You know, we're taught to be resilient, and we taught to like roll with the punches. You got to bob and weave.
Don't show your feelings.
You got to do, and in order to survive out here. But in the meantime, we're carrying a heavy burden on our shoulders, and it's beginning to weigh upon us. So much so that you see our women coming to our defense, and that how backwards is that women come to your defense? But we're seeing that because there's so much that we have to absorb, so much trauma, so much just hatred in the world. And not to say that the women don't go through that, because I believe that what they go through is far worse than we do. But this is our hour, you know, at the 7 o'clock hour tonight, and we're going to talk about us. And Dr. Renee, you don't mind, do you?
No, not at all. I'm glad to be a part of the conversation.
Okay, so Dr. Renee is on board. We got everybody on board. So what I want to do is just basically just talk about some issues that we go through. I mean, we've seen a lot on TV. Thankfully, the officers involved in the Rayshard Brooks case have been arrested today and charged with felony murder, which is very easy to prove.
That's what's up.
So that's good. You know, that's a step in the right direction.
That's a start.
That's a step in the right direction. But we still got the Anthony Arbery case. We still got the George Floyd case. We still got the Breonna Taylor. In fact, here in Baltimore, and don't you ever forget, we're dealing with Corinne Gaines. That the judge took out $37 million verdict. I was counsel in that case, took out $37 million verdict because he wanted to supplant the jury's decision of what justice is for his own. And now we're on appeal of how I deal with that case. So, but I believe that there's been a change in the sea tide, and I believe that things are really coming full circle. The arc of the universe, the arc of the universe always bends towards justice. And I think that's where we're going. But in the meantime, there are a lot of casualties left behind. There are a lot of bodies left behind who have suffered the trauma, the toil, the emotional distress, the mental angst, and all those things that go with being accused either falsely or whatever, force placed upon us that is excessive. And so we just want to talk about some of those issues and just some of the Black male issues that we go through. So in doing that, I have a few questions for you, my brothers actually, and then we'll move to Dr. Carr and see how she responds to him. But my brothers, I had this burning question that I want to ask, and it really comes from Rolanda Rochelle down in Atlanta, Georgia, who posted something on her Facebook page that I thought was incredibly profound. She asked a question. She says, have you ever had a gun drawn on you by police? And if so, what happened? And I can remember distinctly a time in my life when I had a gun drawn on me by police. I was working as a lifeguard in off Allentown, what's that, St. Barnabas Road, at the Oxford Hill area.
Edge's Corner.
Oh, well, actually, this was down at the Oxford Hill area off of St. Barnabas Road. Yeah. And actually, my cousin Mario Barr, who is today an MPD, a Metropolitan Police Officer, who was there at the same time. There was a call placed to police. I was beefing with one of the residents of the area because we was lifeguarding. You know, as lifeguard, we fight every year. Like every year, we have to fight somebody. I'm talking about physically, just go at it. Just
to get in the pool.
Fight. To get in the pool. Because we were in their neighborhoods and we were telling them, you know, what to do. Like we were 16, 17 years old, telling other 16 and 17-year-olds who lived in the neighborhood what to do, and they didn't really appreciate that. So one of the neighbors called and said I had a gun on me, and the police came down, and they came down with all their regalia, and they were very aggressive, and they pulled their guns out and slammed me on the ground. Boom! I never told y'all about this, but Mario probably told you. Yeah, Mario can tell you all about it. Actually, Mario is our cousin who's an MPD. That is a Metropolitan Police Officer. And quite frankly, Mario is the reason why I'm an attorney today, because the brother saved my life, to be honest with you. But anyway, there was a call placed that said that I had a gun on me. Police came down with all their aggressiveness and regalia and all their, protective gear, pulled the guns on me, slammed me on the ground, threw me on my back, went through my car, checked my car for whatever it was, searched my car without my consent, and all these things. And as a result, they didn't find any weapons. There were no weapons found. They found a few munitions, but there were no weapons found. And they had to release me. But I remember that experience distinctly. And at the time, Mario was suffering from an injured ankle or something. He had injured himself. But anyway, that was a horrific experience that I'll never forget. And I'm sure that we all have experiences such as that, where a gun has been placed in your face and you don't know what to do about it. Like, what's going through your mind? Am I going to die? Are they going to shoot me? Like, are they going to take me into custody? Like, what's really going to happen? Jeff, have you ever had a gun pulled on you by the police?
Now, oddly enough, and while you might not think so, yes, I have. I was riding through a neighborhood. I had my nice car, and I saw a police car pull in front of me. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, well, they're about to do something. Let me get out of their way. So I backed up, and he started to come forward. But then I looked in my rearview mirror while I'm backing up. I noticed there's another cop car behind me. So at this point, they've got me sandwiched in. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, I didn't do anything. I'm just trying to get out here and go home. They jump out the car and they start blasting instructions. I look in my side view mirror. I look behind me. I got the gun, the officer, and he's an African-American officer with his gun drawn. His gun is drawn and trained on the car. I look in front of me, and he's an African-American officer, and his gun is drawn and trained on the car. I'm like, what is going on? Why are these guns drawn? I don't do anything. I don't have a weapon. Why is this happening to me? But absolutely, I complied, and I made sure I complied with every instruction to the best of my ability. I made sure I heard. If I didn't understand, I made sure I asked questions. I was scared, literally, all throughout my body.
So what happened as a result of that? Like,
well, as a result of it, I got out of the car. They sat me on the curb. They searched the car. They didn't find anything. They let me on my way. They said they got a call of somebody in a dark colored vehicle. Somebody in a dark colored vehicle was riding through the neighborhood firing a gun.
Jason, how about you? You ever had a gun pulled on you?
I have not had I have not. I've been pulled over since actually watching a horrific video of, I can remember watching Mike Brown, and then I can also remember the gentleman in South Carolina who they actually showed getting shot in the back. So my question to Dr. Renee would be, when you look at those traumatic experiences, what type of effect can that have on a person's psyche as a result of that type of traumatic experience? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there she goes.
She was like, I ain't putting up with this.
Yeah, like in thinking about that, like
No.
as Black men, like that, those type of traumatic experiences can have a profound effect on the psyche of a man. So just to kind of give us, you know, from your level, from your expertise, how could that affect them? Because I haven't had a gun pulled on me, but watching people get shot has had a profound effect on my psyche. And I think the people would like to know what type of effect that would have on, number one, my brothers, and then on people that actually watch these type of traumas take place live.
So let's first start off with the definition of trauma. So trauma is the actual in-person experience of feeling a very real threat to your own life, survival, and your safety. So for example, with 9/11, just watching it on TV would not cause trauma, but actually being at ground zero would be traumatic. So if you were in a situation where you also suddenly came upon a very horrific situation, like a lot of military soldiers, they may not have seen a child being killed, but to suddenly come upon seeing a dead child's body can be very traumatic because it's the absolute opposite of what we would expect to see in a society. So to your question, Jason, although you had not been at gunpoint, actually hearing about it, seeing people shot, that puts in mind your own mortality of what about if that could be me? And the closer that you can resemble that particular victim, the closer you can relate to your actual life being threatened. So there's a situation called vicarious traumatization. And that means that you did not actually experience it, but you can empathize so much and your emotions become so involved that you then can become traumatized in a milder way, but it's still traumatic nonetheless.
I've had that experience. I've had that experience, Dr. Renee. You know, watching all these videos of all these multiple killings of African-American men, of which I happen to be a part of that genre, to say the least, it has really affected me. When Anthony Arbery, and I'm telling you, it took me a while to watch that video. It wasn't something that I wanted to watch because I had already been traumatized by the many videos before. And at this point in time, I get a little squeamish, you know what I mean? I just don't want to see it. But, you know, my audience asked me to see it and opine on it. So I say, okay, you know, I'll watch it. And I'm telling you, I'm watching it like this and I'm peeking just to see what happened. I know what's going to happen, but I'm still peeking to see what happens. And after I watch it, I'm telling you, my whole day is ruined. It is ruined. Like the day I watched the George Floyd video, I was having a great day. And then I watched that video and I'm telling you, I went into a sunken place. I was having a bad day and I found it very difficult to get up the next morning. Throughout the night, I was waking up, not only because I had to use the bathroom, but I was waking up because I couldn't sleep, you know, and because the images.
Because you got that old bladder.
Yeah, I got that old bladder, you know what I mean? I got the old bladder. But in addition to the bladder, I was traumatized by what I had seen because I'm saying that those images stay with me. And I don't know that, in fact, it is what fuels my passion to do something, you know, to try to advocate for justice, because that is one of the main fuels for my passion. But those images, they never leave me. I can still see George Floyd's face as I'm describing it to you. I can still see his face, his eyes, as I'm describing it. And I can also see the eyes of the officer, which was pure wickedness. And I'm trying to figure out how to deal with these things, what effect, and that's really my question. What effect? What is that effect called? Why is it affecting me in such a real way? Even though George Floyd, I never met him a day in my life. I don't know him. I don't know his family. I happen to know his attorneys. They're good friends of mine, but I don't know anything about George Floyd. But his death affected me just to say, and it's not just because I witnessed a lynching, because that's what it was. It was a lynching.
So I think
What is it that
So
continues?
I think Dr. Renee was she was going along that point.
Okay,
And if Dr. Renee could, if she could finish with the point that she was making,
okay,
I think she's going to speak to that.
okay.
Yes, thank you, Jason. Good commentator skills. So, so that is true.
Commentators, forget that little joker.
Hey, hey.
Don't put your finger on me.
One of the symptoms of having a clinical diagnosis of PTSD or trauma is called re-experiencing. That sounds like what you're experiencing, Jay. So you are re-experiencing what you witnessed that was very horrific for you and emotionally pulling. So you keep seeing the images. You may keep hearing him say mama. You may keep seeing the officer's eyes. So when you keep re-experiencing a situation that was traumatic in and of itself, that causes you to have a reinforced level of anxiety and depression. So you're not able to get up in a happy mood because you're already having this subconscious experience of being depressed. And you're depressed because you saw that a life was gravely taken and that so much injustice occurred. And even more so because you are the warrior lawyer, being a person who is drawn to justice and to eradicating inequities. When you see something like that, especially for Black men who are about being a part of the solution, if you see something like that and yet you are rendered unable to do anything, that sense of helplessness can lead to the depression that you're experiencing. Like, well, I can't do anything. I can't say anything. I can't make a call. And so that can be a lot of reasons why a lot of people are experiencing depression.
So with that,
go ahead.
So with that being said, can that, I guess, does that affect a person's entire life with that sense of depression that they may feel like? And what are some of the things what are some coping strategies that could be utilized in order to rebound from something like that?
Okay, so that would be considered an acute depression, meaning it's like if you have an acute triangle or an acute angle, so it would not be something that would last for forever. So a true case of depression would have to be severe depression, not getting up, not taking a shower, not eating for like 2 weeks straight. That would be a major depressive episode. So this is just depressive symptoms and a depressed mood. So it's not going to last. However, imagine being a little Black boy and that's your neighborhood and you see one person killed, then another person killed, then another person killed. Although you may be able to recover from those situational depressions, continually seeing that will make you a very depressed, morose, anxious, or even angry person. And then you get the angry Black man.
So now that explains a lot, because when we watch the news, when white people are killed, you don't see the images over and over and over and over again. But when a Black person is killed, you continuously see those images. We continuously see them replayed over and over, and that sort of like reinforces everything that you said. So it's almost like the media is trying to disable us. Either they're trying to anesthetize us from what we've seen, or they're just trying to debilitate us from what we've seen. Either way, it's not good. And what do you say to that? Is that a contributing factor that they continuously played the death of Walter Scott Thomas, the death of Eric Gardner, the death of Michael Brown, the death of Trayvon Martin, all these things over and over again, and it affects us. I mean, they think that we don't have any feelings and that we're not affected when we see our brothers out here being slaughtered in the streets. Walter Sterling, Philando Castile, but you
can even go and say, you can say Corinne Gaines, like,
Corinne Gaines,
and actually, and honestly, as you were talking, my mind started to drift to the Willie Lynch letters, and looking at that from a psychological aspect. Do you feel like if the Willie Lynch letters, in terms of the killing of the Black man in front of the entire nation, what type of effect can that have on the country as a whole?
Well, I would say it's threefold. So from a media perspective, to answer your question, Jay, seeing it repeated over and over again is a way to anesthetize the people who are being the victims of it. And this is also teaching them a lesson. This is what can happen to you. So you need to be on your P's and Q's and act accordingly. Whenever you experience racism, it's because the oppressing race has a need internally, justified or not, to has a need to try to suppress the other person, to make them feel insecure and to make them feel weak and powerless. So even when you had incidents from a long time ago, even at slave plantations, when you would have the black male who committed whatever infraction there was, even if it was made up, having that person being anally raped by the master in front of everybody was just a way to show you, this is what you do, this is how we will take you down, this is how we will treat you. So from a media perspective that is making these killings salacious, part of that is because it's media ratings, which means income. So it's financial gain. However, the lack of humanity and the lack of compassion for recognizing this is a person who has died is so pervasive when you have African American or Black and brown persons being killed, because they're not seeing it as a murder, they're seeing it as a police response. So we are highlighting and glorifying how great our police are because these Black people need to be killed and oppressed. So the continual messaging of that is, we need to recognize what's happening. We're doing our job. We're protecting all the people who are not related to this race, make you feel secure. And then if there is an underlying racist agenda by whoever is owning that radio or TV station, they're being told, you need to do this, do this, do that. And you need to pump these images to let people know that we still are in control. So it's a multi-pronged approach for why the media is doing that. And then for it being experienced on the receiving end of you continually seeing that, there's a thing called adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs. And so when you are continually being inundated with images of yourself being killed, the reason why the Black Lives Matter motto is so great is because you're seeing too often that Black lives do not matter. And we will show you every day, 10 times a day, how much it doesn't matter because we'll keep killing you.
Come on.
That's the major part of it.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like there's a bloodlust for Black suffering. Like if you look into the eyes of the officer that had his knee on George Floyd's neck, he enjoyed every minute of it. Like you could tell that it was almost like erotic for him. Like he got something out of it. And when he finished, he was almost ready to smoke a cigarette and just go home and say, that'll hold you for a while, Earlene, and just go on about his business. So that really speaks to everything that you said, that there is there's
no consideration or contempt. I mean, even when the paramedics came, he still had his knee on this guy's neck. I don't understand. Like at this point, you're impeding what the paramedics are even trying to do to help. You've been on top of his neck while the assistance was there to help this guy. So you had
when there were 3 other officers holding him down at the back and he was handcuffed. There was no need for it to continue.
No.
Right.
That brings me up to this very topic. I had this very topic in the barbershop today. Today, I'm arguing with one of the barbers because we're discussing the Rayshard Brooks matter. And I'm trying to explain to him how, he failed to humanize Rayshard Brooks, but he humanized the police officer. And because of all this that we see on TV and all the excuses that are made by police, we sort of buy into that and we forget that the person on the other side is human too. He has feelings too. So when a Rayshard Brooks is fighting with police, he's not fighting just to get away. And that's what I explained to the barber. I said, he's fighting for his life. He's fighting for his life because one of those officers tried to put their hands around his neck and he began to fight. He did not want to be that hashtag or that body in a body bag. He really wanted to fight for his life. And so what we fail to do as African Americans, especially as men, we try to make excuses for what the police do so we don't have to do anything about it. So we can wash our hands with it because we'll say that this guy had it coming, but he didn't have it coming. I mean, how would you feel if a police officer said, okay, you've had too much to drink, sit your car and then sleep it off. And then he second guesses what he said. And it comes back to you and say, you know what, I'm placing you under arrest. Now, how are you supposed to feel? What we fail to do is consider what the victim is feeling. We fail to consider placing ourselves in his shoes to determine what it is that he's seen over the last couple of weeks that would make him say, you know what, I need to fight for my life because this is not going to end well. And my sister lives down the street. The officers knew it. They had his license and all that information, so they knew where he lived. Come and got him another day. They could have even sent the SWAT for him. They could have come and got him another day. But this officer who decided to shoot him in the back was wrong among all these other people. It's just simply reckless. It was a reckless disregard. And as I'm watching this on TV before he was charged with his indictment today, I'm watching this and I'm like, you know, I can see what the counter arguments are going to be to his position, but at the same time, I understand fully what he was feeling. He wanted to live to see another day, and unfortunately, that did not happen.
Not only did he want to live to see another day, he wanted to live to see his baby girl because he had just celebrated her birthday. Come on, man. Nobody wants to celebrate their child's birthday and then have to feel like they're not going to ever see their child again. He was fighting for everything. He was fighting for his kids. He was fighting for the baby mama. He was fighting for his baby daughter. Come on.
So Doctor,
and live. And he even explained to him, like, look, officer, I'll walk. We can leave the car. You can watch it. There's no reason we have to do that. I'm not even really dealing with the vehicle at this point. So I know we get into the definition of what it is about driving while under the influence, but the officer had this question.
So Dr. Renee, if you did see that video, if you saw his reaction and it kind of like it popped into my head as like fight or flight. Mm-hmm. Initially he tried to flee. What do you think, at least the psychology, what do you, because you never fully know until you actually talk to the person, but what do you think his psychological mindset was as he was having that interaction with the police officer?
Okay. So I know that, Jeff, you were talking about, I'm out of the car, so, I'm not even next to the car, and, I'm not driving under any type of influence. I think that the bigger issue is that, as it's been said, you're not driving under the influence, you just happen to be driving while Black. And so when you are a Black man and you are continually being exposed to being pulled over, being questioned, if you have a nice car, you obviously had to steal it or you earned it because you have drug money. So when you repeatedly are given those messages and seeing those images, you're going to be in a state of survival. And as you said, Jason, fight or flight. And so when you're in a survival mode, in addition to having countless experiences with the police officers probably in your community or in your zip code not being ethical, engaging in constant police brutality, your approach is, this person is not legitimate. They're not doing what the right thing is. And so I need to fight for my life here because due justice will not occur. And so they're in a fight or flight mode. I'm in a survival mode because I cannot count on you or even the system to even protect me if I do get in jail, if I do live out of this pullover, because even when I get there, you're going to throw the book at me. And so the best way to know that if you have someone or an entity that is continually being distruthful, which is lying, having faulty or dirty arrests, and I happen to be one of them, and I'm telling you I can just walk home, I'm giving you options of what I could do to get out of the situation, and then it's making it clear that that's not what you want, you can feel a person's energy that this person probably is intimidated or insecure or has it out for me or people who look like me, and I need to do what's best for me to survive. At that moment, you are in a fight or flight. You also are looking at traditional memories that the person may have experienced and seeing that this usually does not come out well. So I need to make sure I just get out of the situation.
Yeah, and that brings me to this doctrine in the law called qualified immunity, which basically excuses bad police conduct. It's supposed to be to excuse everything but the incompetent police officer, but it's such a broad range of what is reasonable under the circumstances that it really does no good in protecting the lives of citizens. And as we watch this trauma porn, and that's what I call it, I got that term from Catalina Bird up here in Baltimore. This trauma porn, we are all being affected by it. What can we do to get over this effect? Is it to a level where we need to seek professional help, or what can we do to restore us to zero? basically to zero. What do we need to do?
I don't think we'll ever get back to zero, but what can we do to get back as close to normal as possible?
All right. Well, we don't want normal because normal was never good. So we want better than before.
Okay.
I do want to address an earlier question, Jay, or a statement that you made earlier about we just wash our hands of it. We don't say anything. There's a psychological experience called cognitive dissonance. And what happens is if you feel uncomfortable doing something, you are going to either discount or minimize something happening. So therefore, you're not exposed to having to confront your ability to act or your denial to act. And so when Black people are saying things like, oh, well, I don't know what to do, or even if you're not Black and you're like, well, it's out of my hands, let's let the police handle it. By you removing yourself from that responsibility, you are then saying, okay, well, I don't have to feel guilty. I can rest either on my racial privilege, or I can rest on letting the authorities take it over, or that person was probably having a forged $20 bill in the first place. So therefore, they were already wrong. When you say that someone is already wrong, despite the atrocious death that they may have experienced, that allows you to psychologically feel safe in yourself. If you are a Black man, it allows you to say, okay, well, you know what? I didn't do that, so I should be okay. And that's just a natural primitive instinct for survival. If I don't do these things, I can then somehow be in control of my life, being able to go beyond my next pullover if I get pulled over by the police officer.
Dr. Renee, I must tell you, I am guilty 100% of cognitive dissonance. I can tell you that when I noticed that George Floyd and Rayshard Brooks had their attorneys, they happen to be personal friends of mine, I was like, okay, they got it. They're competent counsel. They'll handle it. I'll just sit back and just kind of wash my hands of it and just kind of watch what happens to it. The Ben Crumps and the Chris Stewarts and everybody else in the world, you know, I know their worth. I know their competence as counsel, and I know that they're not going to stop until it's over. But at the same time, I wash my hands of it. I'm like, that's their problem. When it comes to Maryland, then it'll be my problem. But as long as it's not in Maryland, it's their problem. Let them deal with it, and I'll just watch the fur fly. I'll just watch them fight. As a spectator, as if I'm at any other boxing match or any other combat sport match, I'll just watch as a spectator. But it's coming here. It's not going to be long before it comes to
already here. It's already here. You got cops punching women in the face.
Well,
Yeah.
It's here.
And so I take that fight. You know, that's the fight.
Yeah.
And that is my client. And I take that fight, you know, very readily. You know, I want to be in that fight. Now, that's a fight that I really want to be in, and I really want to show what we can do. We need to stand up for our women, because if no one's standing up for our women, you know, they are subject to a lot of abuse, and that destroys our families. So
can we even talk about the psychological?
What Doctor said, that I have, to be honest with you, and probably ashamedly so, I have washed my hands of it, because I know that they have competent counsel down there who's going to do for them what they need in order to get the justice that they deserve.
But then now is it
so
we've washed our hands of it? Because I know when I watch it, I'm thinking, okay, what really can I do? Yes, I can speak out. Yes, I can march. But what I really can do is I can vote. I can change a law. I can change my politician. I can change those leaders in place. I can make sure that I push my vote for police reform, for criminal reform, those things that we need to have in place. The laws need to change. If police were judged by the same standards as a layperson, they probably would not do the same stuff that they do.
And I always
so with that being hold on. So with that being said, Dr. Renee, you mentioned cognitive dissonance. Like, and Jay Wyndal brought up a very valid point in terms of our women. And one of the cries that I've seen play out on my Facebook page is we need to stand by our women the same way that the women are rallying behind us for the men. Does cognitive dissonance come into play with the fact of maybe even why men don't go as hard in, let's say, the Breonna Taylor case? Because we have the Breonna Taylor case that's still sitting out there with 3 officers that still have not been arrested to this day. And but you don't necessarily get the airplay of the Breonna Taylor incident as you do the George Floyd, the Rayshard Brooks. Does that come into play there?
I Let me just back up a little bit because I want to highlight, Jay, what you were saying. At the beginning of the conversation, you said that you couldn't even get up, or you got up and then you were depressed.
Yeah,
So you're already feeling.
I was feeling bad. I don't know if I would be clinically.
No, it's not clinically depressed, but it would be a depressed mood.
I was certainly feeling bad.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it was a mild depression. You know, it could be a day, it could be a week, but it was still a mild level of depression.
Yes.
When you're in depression, so you're looking at the person who is behind that emotional experience. Think about what you do and what you try to accomplish in your work. So, and then I'll apply this to the general example as general population as well. So if you are a person who is looking to make change, you pride yourself in being able to have solutions and to have victories. You are now suddenly rendered helpless and you cannot do anything, so you're feeling depressed. The natural response to the mind is, if I cannot do anything, I'm feeling not my best, I'm feeling low, I'm feeling a little bit depressed. I have to get up and still go to work tomorrow and do what I can for my other clients. So therefore, your self-protective defense was, well, then let me just let them handle it so I can focus on what I'm doing here.
True.
So mirror that, project that onto everyone else who is watching it and they're not involved in the case. If you're like, okay, well, you know what? I have bills to pay, it's coronavirus going on, or I can't get my hair done, or I have my own Black babies to think about. So you're already feeling a sense of being overwhelmed emotionally and extremely socially and financially probably deprived or at risk and uncertain in this era anyway. So then when something happens and it's like the millionth time that you've seen it, then the sense of helplessness can make, when you mention like the trauma porn or the collective trauma, it can make people collectively feel a sense of depression, which is collectively feeling a sense of helplessness. And therefore, we may not go and advocate for different people because we don't feel as if we can actually make change. Jason,
I'm mad about it. I'm very angry. And I think James Baldwin said it best, and I'll say it again. Being Black in America is to be in a constant state of rage. And I feel that way. I might be able to put on a smile, and I might.
Hey, hold on for a second. Can we let her finish dropping them gems? Because she was dropping gems.
Okay, thank you, Jason. So if you think about, to answer your question about why are men or why are maybe Black men not as fervent in supporting the deaths of Black women, again, when you think of systemic oppression, what were the systems that have been in place that are now generationally passed down for how Black men should act and what they should do? So in order for a Black woman to survive, if that Black man was in love with her, he had to let the master rape her. He had to let her give birth to the child. When you move into moving up, and you may even have like in the 40s or the 60s, and we need to now have social welfare. If you need to be able to get a check because the Black man has been oppressed and now he cannot get a job, the Black woman is able to get a job. But if you have a man in the house, we're cutting your check. So he has to be either hiding in the closet or pushed out of the door, or to have an absence of presence. And so we have this continual either physical oppression, or we have this financial oppression or relationship depression, which is making the Black men impotent as far as being able to advocate for his woman, because even if he wanted to, there's so much system showing that no matter what you do, we already see you as guilty, so you're not credible. And so therefore you are the greater victim of anything. So therefore they're like, okay, well, you know what? Let me just let them handle it, or I'll do what I can because I really can't do much. And for a man who is really a man to not feel as if he can do anything, that psychological discomfort of not being able to protect or to provide, especially for his wife or his family, he's going to then either shut down or just be absent, because he's like, okay, well, I can't really help fight for, any of these Black women because I myself am a greater victim than what they are. At least they have the minority of being Black and female. They can get more reparations than what I ever could, and their voice will be heard a lot louder than what mine ever would be, because they're killing me every day.
Wow.
Yo, you might as well, you need to pick a text and preach that sermon. Like, all you need is a text right now. You were dropping them things on them. She dropping them things,
You know,
boy.
and I think I was a bit remiss because I failed to introduce Dr. Renee. Dr. Renee Carr.
You did earlier, I thought.
40 minutes in.
Like Dr. Renee is the truth, and I think that we need to really thank her first of all for being on the show, and second of all, appreciate and recognize that she is one of our foremost psychologists in the great state of Maryland and perhaps beyond. So, Dr. Renee, I apologize for failing to introduce you. I guess overly excited about you being here and being able to impart the knowledge that you did. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Renee. And she is the problem solver. And I'm not sure if she does individual therapy, but whatever she does, y'all need to get with her because she is the truth. Jeff, go ahead.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, let me just, while you're talking about me, so as a problem solver, I really help with these conversations for elected officials, either at the state level, national level, and also CEOs and high-performing corporations. So I help them either to reform, to rebuild, or to transition from what wasn't working to what should be better. So a system, say for example, there's a lot of systemic oppression, calls for reform. I am called in to do things, okay, look, this is happening in our police department or in our state. What can we do that we have not seen? And the reason why I'm so successful in my outcomes is because people don't realize that oppression and racism is a psychological problem. If I'm thinking that you are less than me and I'm thinking that I am insecure, I am therefore going to do all I can to use my racial privilege to oppress and to suppress your opportunities to even succeed or supersede me. And so therefore, I would come in from a psychological standpoint of saying, okay, what were the beginning thoughts or the beliefs that caused this to happen? What are the continual behaviors that are allowing this to continue? And how are you reinforcing either maladaptive behaviors, whether you're trying to sell a new hairline product and not making it racially offensive, to do you really want to have true racial reform in your state?
Dr. Renee, I have a question online. People want to know, where are you located?
Well, I'm located in DC, but I also do a lot of work, basically virtual, because people who are usually having a crisis, if elected official cannot just come to my office. So it's usually on the phone. Most of my clients are coming to see me on the phone, or I'm usually going to go see them because I have more ability to be on the phone and travel or fly rather than what they could. But I do want to emphasize that my clients are elected officials, candidates for the state or national level, or as a high-performing CEO.
And by the way, Dr. Renee did not go to that Jive Time Hampton or that bullshit house.
Whoa!
Hey, look.
Hey,
Jay Wendell. Jay Wendell.
Yeah.
Even the dog signs even the sun shines on the dogs behind some days. Okay.
What the hell does that mean?
I did go to Oregon.
Hey, look.
What the hell does that mean?
Even a broken clock is right 2 times a day. So
But this is a fixed clock. I know you ain't talking about
it looks like, hey, Jeff, if it's right 2 times a day, then it looks like Morgan has already exceeded their maximum.
Because we write 24 hours a day, Joker. Yeah.
Yo.
Yes, I am
So-
a Morgan alum.
That's right. And
So you're saying that this can affect literally all aspects of our lives, and especially as it comes to the Black man and even protecting the Black woman, because of the fact that they've been debilitated by a result of what they've witnessed, and then I guess the psychological effects of what they've witnessed.
Right.
So what are some coping strategies that we can use, like I said, to get back to that strength? You know what I'm saying? Because honestly, we need to fight with the same fervor of Breonna Taylor as we did with George Floyd. Like, honestly, I could care less if Kentucky burns down, because my pastor actually worded it well. Pastor Justin T. Rose, Trinidad Baptist Church, 6611 Walker Mill Road. He said that people
just do it.
it's okay. But he said that people need to be valued over property and bodies over buildings. So, like, how can we get to the place to where we're valuing people over property?
What do you have to say?
Man,
I'm telling you, hey man, can you let me get in? Hey, look, y'all not gonna keep treating me like the little brother. I'm big now. I'm big now. I'm big now.
You're doing a lot of caping right now. You caping right now.
I'm big now.
Yeah,
I'm grown.
Is it just three of
I'm
you
grown.
in the family?
Why you fighting?
I'm grown.
Who you fighting
I'm grown.
against? Who you fighting against?
But we just what can we do to get back that fervor in terms of fighting for the Breonna Taylor situation? Because like I said, it's still the officers still sitting out that joker. They probably on paid administrative leave, and we need to be fighting with that same level of energy.
We got to bring that same energy, player. We got to bring that same energy.
And don't forget Corinne Gaines. Like, we can never forget Corinne Gaines.
And Corinne Gaines.
State of Maryland.
Right. Well, unfortunately, there's too many people that we don't even have the names for because it happens senselessly almost every day. It's just not caught on a person's cell phone. The biggest thing that we can take from this in an effort to recover and to reform, even amongst ourselves, if it's a Black and Brown community, or if you're outside the Black and Brown racial group, and you are, honestly interested in affecting change. The biggest part is recognizing that every single person, Black, brown, purple, or green, is focusing on self-preservation because that's a natural instinct. The way that we survive in our modern world is through money. So the biggest thing that you can start doing is to gather collectively and making a financial impact on the industries, entities, agencies, councils, budgets, groups that are supporting oppressive systems or brutality that occurs senselessly and you not calling out on it. So if you know that a company is continuing supporting a person who is making racist statements, that as a collective unit, make sure that that person is being, one, highly blown up in social media so that the millennials can get on it and then create a further, social pandemic of what justices are not being rendered. And then when you bring attention to it, even if they are the chief KKK officer of the world, if you're hitting their pockets, they're going to be forced to listen because of their own survival needs or their own wealth and greed needs. So I would say the first thing is to collectively organize and to whatever entity is either supporting or causing the racial injustice to occur, to blatantly hit them where it hurts, which is their money. And this does not mean having Black pictures on your Instagram or having a Black Friday. This means calling out vocally, verbally, clearly, blatantly what this person has done, how they say, bring out the receipts, doing that, bringing out the receipts for all the injustices the person has either supported or caused. The way that can help the oppressed person is that you are now being able to see change happen. If even they can have, like the Daytona 500, take down their Confederate flag, then all this hype about, are you racist? Are you supporting things? The Confederate flag represents this. If you represent that, then that means that we're not going to support you. So everyone is being very sensitive for their own way of preserving themselves, their country, their wealth, their community, their wallet. So if you can hit them that way, but that lets you have a chance to feel like you're actually doing something, and you can see if they have a good PR team, and within at least 2 weeks, you're seeing something rapidly being changed and reformed within an organization. So I would say that's the first thing. That will then help you as a person who may be feeling helpless to know that you can do something. You can actually see objective change happening, that your voice is happening, and then don't just wait until an election. Don't just wait until something, because it may be the corporations are using their money to fund the elections. So then you need to make sure that you are focusing on the corporations that are supporting racism or injustices and supporting elected officials who are in that. And then if they take away that funding, donation, campaign money, they'll be forced to either put into office someone who actually will be for the people, for all the people, or be forced to be put out of that office because they're not getting any more funding from their lobbyists.
So Dr. Carr, I hear what you're saying, and I think that's great. And I think that's something that we've done before. We did it in Tulsa, Oklahoma with Black Wall Street. We did it in Rosewood, where we were able to generate that wealth and generate building things up for ourselves. But then when we do that, what we've seen in the past is once we do that, then they come and try and tear it down. they'll go after those businesses, or they'll go after those resources that we use. So how do we do that? How do we not set them up to be targets?
Well, when I'm thinking of collectively, it's not just Black people. It's not just brown people. It's anyone who is for the cause against injustice. As you're seeing, there's a lot of non-Black and brown faces that are in the media against this. So you need to join with every single person, creating a brotherhood against injustice, creating all of those people. Because unless you have every color represented, the system of oppression that exists will not really help if you have just one group of people of one race fighting against the higher races that are in charge. You have to have a multicultural focus on having this solution.
And that's something that we're seeing today that we've never seen before.
Right.
I mean, this George Floyd situation has spanned across the world. And I'm telling you the truth that it made my heart glad to see that all the different races of people coming out in support of Black lives, because quite frankly, we've been on this battlefield a long time and we needed some comrades, and it seems like we've developed some in the last couple of weeks, and we just need to continue the momentum that we've had going on and continue to pursue justice in the way we see fit and make a better tomorrow for our children. So in our final words, Jeff, I'll go with you, and then Jason, I'll go with you, and then we'll close this show out.
Okay, just before I get into my final words, there was a question that I just saw online from Perry Blackman. We talked about the hangings, because now we're starting to see people getting hung.
True.
So how do we deal with that? Just real quick, I'll let you finish. Those will be my final closing arguments, Doc. How we deal with that?
You talking to me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so one way to help eradicate or reform the racism and the injustices is to not let it be acceptable anymore. You need to continue the momentum of collective races being together and joining forces against this. Don't let it get comfortable. Don't let it die down. Just continue to keep the momentum going, and don't let one person's death be overshadowed by someone else's death. Make every death matter, just like we want every life to matter, and fight aggressively for every person, and bringing high change and high focus on what is happening in every place that it's happening, so that there can be a forced change to happen.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, that was like, honestly, this has been a powerful hour, even though I was gone for about 6 minutes while I waited for my internet to get back.
While you waited for your Ruka to get warm.
We're gonna talk about sound check too.
I had a Teddy Riley incident that occurred tonight. But what I do want to say is I hope this conversation was good for everybody that was watching. I guess you could say over the past maybe 5 or 6 years have really been advocating for Black people to remove the stigma of mental health and to take mental health more seriously. And honestly, that came after when I was in grad school, I was in seminary, and I took a counseling class, and that was a part of my prerequisites to graduate. But I hope that this conversation will begin more conversations to the place to where we'll take our mental health seriously, because we as Black men, we are under, we fall victim to the stigma that mental health is negative, and it's really not negative. We need to take it seriously in terms of trying to get us to a place to, as you said, Dr. Renee, to where we're better than where we were going in. Right. Because these types of incidents can play a huge part in our psyche, and in playing a part in our psyche, it can cause a paralysis, and that paralysis causes us to not move forward and to move as strongly as we normally would. It would cause us to kind of move in a gingerly way. And hopefully, to everybody that's watching online on Facebook, please seek professional help, because there are people, and there are Black people that are trained to assist us in becoming better than we were before we went into the trauma. So hopefully,
and it doesn't mean that you're weak just because you get help.
Correct. And hopefully this conversation And to the Black men that are watching, hopefully you'll take your mental health seriously. And that if you do need professional help, that you'll seek professional help. There is nothing wrong with seeking professional help. And to those of you out there that are Christians and you feel that, you know, Jesus can solve it all, it's okay to have Jesus and the therapist. It is absolutely okay, because of the fact that these are the things that help lead to, I taught health. So these are the things that lead to self-actualization. These are the things that lead you to become the best you that you can be. So hopefully everybody that is watching this, and hopefully you'll share this, that this is a step in the right direction to you becoming the best you that you can be. Thank you, Dr. Renee. I appreciate all of the dimes that you dropped.
My pleasure.
Dr. Renee, hey, you were in this joint. Yeah, you were like John Stockton tonight. You were dropping dimes left and right. You were like Andre Miller, like, pew, pew, pew. Them things was on point. Hopefully everybody, you know, take advantage of the resources that are available to you. If Dr. Renee, if this is not what you would choose to do, prayerfully that you'll send them referrals to the point to where people can get the help that they need. Seek professional counseling because it is needed, especially in a time like that.
There are plenty of doctors out there. There's Dr. Wyndal Gordon, who's local. There's other doctors out there. There's psychiatrists, psychologists that are more than happy to sit down with you. If Dr. Renee is not doing it, then there are others that you can call. They are accessible and they will make themselves available. Jay Wyndal, where'd you go? What is this? Another plug? What's
Jay Wyndal, you having a Teddy Riley now? What's going on?
Yeah.
What's going on? Yeah, you better not talk about me. You better not talk about me and you over that joint with the blank screen. Like, I don't want to see your profile picture, bro.
He gone.
Jay Wyndal. Jay Wyndal. Jay Wyndal. Go Jay Wyndal. Give me one time.
I'm here, man. I needed a comfort break. I'm drinking all this vodka, man. It's not working on me like it's supposed to. I needed a comfort.
Your old bladder.
Old bladder had to kick in.
What'd you say?
What's that? Your half a century bladder? I mean, what's going on, Holmes?
Yeah, about half a century. Yeah, that's about what it is. Hey, you'll get there if you're lucky.
That's
hey, prayerfully, as long as
where you are, but you got yet to get where I am, bro. You will be
Dr.
blessed.
Renee,
Consider yourself blessed to make it here, bro.
So Jay Wyndal, give us your closing joint, and then let's have Dr. Renee close us out.
My closing joint is that tonight's discussion was very informative. I learned a lot about what's going on in my head and what's swirling around, and it's keeping me up at night, and it's going to be helpful. I understand that there's a lot of injustice out here, and it can have a debilitating effect on me. And as I thought it was, but I just didn't know how to articulate it. What was it that I was going through? As men, we need to be able to ask these types of questions and get these answers so that we can better deal with our activities of daily living, because it does have an impact. Seeing Black suffering, Black death on a daily basis, routinely, in seriatim, it hurts. And nobody really understands it because it's not them. But when it's you, it hurts unlike any other. And we have to definitely look to counseling, that is, therapy, when we go through these issues, because I didn't understand it. I knew what I was feeling, but I didn't know how to articulate it. And thank you so much, Dr. Renee, for articulating everything that I was feeling and making me understand why I was feeling that way. And I think that today's conversation, even though it only lasted an hour, was incredibly helpful. And that's what I have to say.
Well, I guess from my closing comments, I would be to encourage every person who is watching, especially for the men who are watching, is to hold into your heart and hold into your mind the belief that and the understanding that your sense of helplessness, anger, frustration, and anxiety is not by accident. It's not by accident that everyone is being closed in during the coronavirus, and we have no other option but to be one with our thoughts and to no longer accept that this cannot continue. and that we need to have a stronger force to actually change and eradicate the racism that we are not only witnessing on a daily basis, that's being televised daily, but also in our own lives. And if you make a commitment to recognizing that this is not by accident, also recognize that the forces that create systemic oppression are very deliberate and very strategic and very relentless. So I would encourage each of you to also be very strategic and very relentless, and recognizing that whatever power that you have, using that to not accept that you can't do anything, to not accept that your voice will not be heard, to not accept that other people or other groups can be more successful, but recognize that the experience of the depression, the experience of anxiety, the experience of, well, I don't know what to do, or the apathy, use that as motivation, as an emotional cue to recognize that you actually do have something that you can contribute, and that you can do something meaningful and successful to bring about change. Whenever you feel like that, recognize what you can do, organize a group, organize this call, organize the conversation, organize your wallets, organize your votes, and make sure that it's not ignored. And don't wait until just voting. Do it now.
That's a good point. Don't wait.
Hey,
voting. Do it.
Dr. Renee. Hey, Jay, we got to have her on one more again, bro.
I told you she's a problem solver, man. She's the truth. I told you.
Again, even a broken clock is wrong 2 times a day, bro. And we can settle with that. We can settle for that.
Much time hating instead of driving the knowledge that's available for you. Like, drink, man. Just drink. You know what I mean? You'll be all right. Drink.
I am. Yes, sir. I got you. I am.
Yeah.
This has been
Not
good.
that. Not
But
that.
to everybody that's watching right now on Facebook Live, we thank you all for joining us tonight. This has been a very, very informative talk.
I think we're gonna have to do. But Jason, I don't mean to cut you off. I think we're gonna have to do another one of these. We didn't have enough time.
Why you say you don't mean to cut them off? You cut them off at the same time.
Okay, well, I meant to cut you off. I needed you to stop talking so I could say what I need to say. How about that?
See that?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
That's that bullshit right there. Hey, Jason, you need to
Mama, you hear? Mama, that's your favorite. Mama,
that's your favorite.
That's your favorite, Mama.
Hey, look, she ain't gonna say nothing about him doing it because
that's your favorite.
That's your favorite. Just you three? Is it just you three guys? Just you three children? What's the birth order? Jason's the youngest.
You can't tell Dr. Renee, you know who the oldest is.
Okay. Well, that falls in line with birth order behavior. So
Jason is the oldest.
So, but this has been by far, you know what I'm saying, a very informative
wait, I didn't finish though. I meant to cut you off. I forgot.
But I cut you back off. I thought,
I meant to cut you off. Hey, look.
But you didn't.
I think
cut me off.
I think we need to do another one of these. I think we need another hour because I don't think it all could be.
Y'all taxing Dr. Renee. You know, she came free tonight, but after a while, y'all gonna have to pay her for her services. Like, she works for this. This is what she does for a living. You keep tapping into her and trying to get her knowledge without paying her. So
maybe we could also even have people after this, you know, tagging the Facebook with their questions, and we can answer those questions as the follow-up with more solutions.
Boom.
That's the problem. So
that's the problem solver. Boom. Word. You know what I'm saying? She is about her grind, baby.
She's just trying to stop y'all from acting like children online. That's all that is.
But you're the only one.
You're the one acting like the middle child. You're the only one acting like a child. You sitting there in the middle trying to absorb all the time.
You put it together, but you couldn't do it by yourself, sir. It's called brotherly love. You ain't a brother by yourself.
You can't be a brother by yourself.
I can be a brother by myself.
You can't be a brother by yourself.
We not talking about a black brother. We talking about a brother.
All right. Y'all going too far now.
But
Dr. Carr saying all three of them need help.
But on Facebook Live, on Facebook Live, they're talking about we need a part 2. So I just seen that several times that popped through that we need a part 2. Again, Dr. Renee, I appreciate you for your time. I appreciate you for your expertise. We appreciate you for your level of education to the point to where you learned all of this stuff into how things psychologically affect us. This has been a very informative talk. hopefully you all out there on Facebook have gathered something. I see you. Why don't you put up the wrap it up, Brock? Then, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Like, since you want to go like that. But either way, this has been in brotherly love. I am Jason S. The Voice Gordon. We've got Jeff Gordon, Jay Wyndal, the Warrior Lawyer. We thank you all for attending our In Brotherly Love tonight. We went over a little bit, but I have to make up for the fact that I had a Teddy Riley situation. So, but we appreciate y'all for
always
coming out.
Thinking about him, doesn't he? He always thinking about him.
That's that young shot. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna come up with a nickname.
It ain't got nothing to do with you, Jason.
Y'all can't have a nickname, and
but you making it about me. I didn't make it about me. I didn't make it about me. You did. Middle child. Okay? But it's all good. But thank you all for watching In Brotherly Love. Oh, we going there again. But thank y'all for coming out. We'll hopefully see you all next week. You know what I'm saying? It really, you know, the middle child seems to have all the control in this one. So hopefully we'll see you guys next week and we can continue this conversation, because these are very informative conversations that need to take place. Thank you all for coming out. God bless y'all. You're not driving home safely, which is what I normally say. But y'all have a good night, folks.
Thank you, Dr. Renee.
Thank you, Dr. Carr.
Good night.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.